everybody. Today is Wednesday, April 29th, 2020, and I have a story to read to you. Now I know, I say this a lot, but this is one of my favorite books. I know, I say that a lot. This book was given to me by my friend. Her name is Stacy. She lives in Wisconsin. And she gave me this book in 1994, 25, wow, 25, 26, something like that, a lot of years ago. Anyway, it's kind of fallen apart, but it's my favorite book. It's called The Big Orange Splot. And this book is written and illustrated by Daniel Manus Pinkwater. So here's the cover of the book. Here is the back of the book. And there is a little summary of the book. It says, when Mr. Plumbean painted his house, the neighbors couldn't believe their eyes. Plumbean has gone too far, they said. He's popped his cork, flipped his wig, blown his stack, and dropped his stopper. 1994. Was that really 25 years ago? 14. No, we're in 19. Yes. Oh my goodness. Where has the time gone? Here is the title page. There's the word the, T-H-E. The word the. Let's put my fingers around it. There we go. The Big Orange. My fingers aren't that wide. Splot. And there's a picture of the big orange splot. Here is some information about the book. Where the book was made, what year it was made, and here we go. Mr. Plumbean lived on a street where the houses were all the same. He liked it that way. So did everybody else on Mr. Plumbean's street. This is a neat street, they would say. Then one day, a seagull flew over Mr. Plumbean's house. He was carrying a can of bright orange paint. No one knows why. And he dropped the can, no one knows why, right over Mr. Plumbean's house. It made a big orange splot on Mr. Plumbean's house. Oh, too bad, everybody said. Mr. Plumbean will have to paint his house again. I suppose I will, said Mr. Plumbean, but he didn't paint his house right away. He looked at the big orange splot for a long time. Then he went about his business. The neighbors got tired of seeing that big orange splot. Someone said, Mr. Plumbean, we wish you would get around to painting your house. Okay, said Mr. Plumbean. He got some blue paint and some white paint, and that night he got busy. He painted at night because it was cooler. When the paint was gone, the roof was blue, the walls were white, and the big orange splot was still there. Then he got some more paint. He got red paint, yellow paint, green paint, and purple paint. In the morning, the other people on the street came out of their houses. Their houses were all the same. But Mr. Plumbean's house was like a rainbow. It was like a jungle. It was like an explosion. Here's a better picture. Wow. There was the big orange splot, and there were little orange splots. There were stripes. There were pictures of elephants and lions and pretty girls and steam shovels. The people said, Plumbean has popped his cork, flipped his wig, blown his stack, and dropped his stopper. They went away muttering. That day, Mr. Plumbean bought carpenter's tools. That night, he built a tower on top of his roof, and he painted a clock on the tower. What do you think? Do you like it? The next day, the people said, Plumbean has gushed his mush, lost his marbles, and slipped his hawser. They decided they would pretend not to notice. That very night, Mr. Plumbean got a truck full of green things. He planted palm trees, baobabs, thorn bushes, onions, and frangipani. In the morning, he bought a hammock and an alligator. When the other people came out of their houses, they saw Mr. Plumbean swinging in a hammock between two palm trees. They saw an alligator lying in the grass, and Mr. Plumbean was drinking lemonade. So there he is, going to get his green things. And here he is. Do you see the alligator? And there's Mr. Plumbean laying in the hammock, drinking his lemonade. Can't really see that part. Oh, now you can. There he is. It looks pretty comfortable. Plumbean has gone too far. This used to be a neat street. Plumbean, what have you done to your house? The people shouted. My house is me, and I am it. My house is where I like to be, and it looks like all of my dreams, Mr. Plumbean said. The people went away. They asked the man who lived next door to Mr. Plumbean to go and have a talk with him. Tell him that we all liked it here before he changed his house. Tell him that his house has to be the same as ours, so we can have a neat street. The man went to see Mr. Plumbean that evening. They sat under the palm trees, drinking lemonade and talking all night long. The alligator has a little food dish. Early the next morning, the man went out to get lumber and rope and nails and paint. When the people came out of their houses, they saw a red and yellow ship next door to the house of Mr. Plumbean. What have you done to your house? They shouted at the man. My house is me, and I am it. My house is where I like to be, and it looks like all of my dreams, said the man who had always loved ships. He's just like Plumbean, the people said. He's got bees in his bonnet, bats in his belfry, and nuts in his noodle. Then, one by one, they went to see Mr. Plumbean late at night. They would sit under the palm trees and drink lemonade and talk about their dreams. And whenever anybody visited Mr. Plumbean's house, the very next day, that person would set about changing his own house to fit his dreams. You ready to see some of the houses? There's one house. Wow, look at that one. There's more. I think this one might be my favorite. I like the moat all the way around it. This one's a pretty good one too. Whenever a stranger came to the street of Mr. Plumbean and his neighbors, the stranger would say, "This is not a neat street." Then all the people would say, "Our street is us and we are it. Our street is where we like to be, and it looks like all of our dreams." And that is the end. So, I would like you to draw a picture of what you would like your house to look like. It doesn't have to be real. It can be pretend. It could be anything. You could use some of the ideas in the book. You could think of something else. Maybe you'd like your house to look like a rocket ship. Or maybe you'd like to have your house look like a giant cat. I think that would be my house. I would love it if you would draw a picture of the house that you would like, color it in all beautiful, and then have mom or dad or somebody take a picture of it and send it to me.